Hey guys, this is Koyota, and I'm here with
Adam.
And we're finally, after like a while, looking at the Directional Shards this time. We're going to be starting with Summon Plume Parma, and this time we're going to be using the gauge glasses to kind of, on certain things, give us an idea of just how good something is, how fast it drains the HP, because DPS is now going to be a thing with this, because some of these are the same, believe it or not. They're the same, but just different element and different amount of DPS, different amount of range. And what I mean by DPS is, well, you'll see that as soon as we get to Aqua Stream, Inferno Breath, or even the
So they're not the
Jet.
same.
Not the same, but the thing is, when you compare them, and if you were to say, like, an enemy has the same exact resistance, like either completely resists or doesn't resist, it literally comes down to what is doing higher DPS, or what fits better for your playstyle.
Yes.
Okay, so Plume Parma is a pretty interesting one. This one is, it's a beginner spell. You could summon a lot of these guys. And you're lucky if it hits like that. You could get... It's varying degrees of stuff here. As you see, we've already brought him down to literally the last of his HP. So I could be fighting a boss and doing everything else, casting spells, etc. It's... Now see, here's the problem with a lot of these abilities. I can't really I can't rank them as easy as I could before, because we're dealing with stuff that is completely skill-based. There's probably a way to make this ultra broken, but in terms of overall damage output, it's very standard. It's pretty good for the cost if you know what you're doing with it, but this can also miss a lot on smaller guys. Once these guys start moving around, unless I get it just right, they could fly over him like what you see, and I'm not getting any DPS. Nothing's happening here. Not until that happens, right? So it's okay. I would actually, I don't mind using this, this kind of way. Of course, you're not going to have this when you first get it. You're just going to shoot like one guy or something, right? But once you're able to summon this many, this isn't too bad to just toss at least even 3 guys. Just toss 3 in a room, let them do some damage.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really cute. It's a really cute skill, actually. So I'm not even gonna give this a real rank because it's hard to rank it. Like, DPS is it's inconsistent, but perhaps, like I said, there's experts out there who know what they're doing. Obviously there's things that are gonna be obviously better, Chisel Barrage and all that, right? It's getting nerfed, obviously it's too good for its own good, right? But I give Summon Plume Parma the ranking of cuteness. It's just cute. It's like, oh, look at that, you're doing angles and stuff. You're bouncing them angles around with these.
Oh, when pigs
piggies.
fly.
Yeah. That's his rank, and that's my rank. Cuteness and when pigs fly. Reflector Ray. I'm just gonna put the rank on. I'm just gonna say what the rank is. It's just for the puzzles. You can use it to do like a little damage, but you can't use it in the air. You have to wait till it charges up to shoot it, like at least until it's ready. It doesn't do that much damage. He's at 6,600 and only did 20 damage there. On normal enemies, like, it'll hurt them, but you might run into something if you can't see it. You can also do this to get multiple hits. When you actually line it up like this and all that, you could hit multiple times.
Jesus,
but,
flipping out.
I love this ability for...
It looks awesome.
Just what it is, but, you're not going to really use this to fight, necessarily. You're using this more to just get places. Like, yeah. Literally.
And it just looks cool to use, the quick, rapid...
Exactly.
Bouncing all over the place.
It's most satisfying puzzle mechanic added to
It's like laser from Sonic Colors.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except you can use it whenever.
Yeah. So, nothing much to say here, just it's a puzzle mechanic and it's good, it's cool, but, don't use it for battle. Use it for finding stuff, getting to places. What about you? Do you want to give it a name?
Not really. It's, as we said, it's just sort of for puzzles.
Oh.
You wouldn't really use it otherwise, but it's fun, and it is, of course, even at level 1, you can actually get to quite a few good places.
Yeah.
That you can't get just by jumping, at least by the time that you get it.
And then one more discretion.
So it's useful.
Oh. Sorry, just gonna say one more discretion to the viewers. This is for first-time playthrough, not for like New Game Plus and all that. I haven't started New Game Plus. Can't even give a New Game Plus ranking on what grade 9 Reflector Ray would be like. You know, maybe it becomes really powerful or something, right?
Do they take it away from you though?
Oh, that's another question. Do they take it? If they take it away, I mean, I don't know if it keeps the grade. See, that's the thing. Maybe it keeps the stats when you get it back.
Get taken away from you.
Yeah.
Because of how overpowered they would be if you had it from the beginning. Like sequence breaking, those sorts of things.
All right.
Usually get taken away in New Game Plus, I believe.
Regardless, we got a lot to cover. There are some that are going to be similar opinion because they're basically same function as I mentioned, but we do have a lot to cover, so I want to get through those. Aqua Stream. So Aqua Stream, this is an ability you first get kind of as a puzzle mechanic, and it lets you navigate through the waters. This becomes like your first form of movement until you get... Which ability was it that lets you actually walk underwater? Was it... Yeah, Deep Sinker. So until you get one of the yellow passive abilities, you have to... Or was it... No, it's gray. It's gray. It's at the top. But until you get one of the gray abilities, you can't really, you know, traverse the waters. So you have to use this to push yourself about, right? You could also use it to attack the enemies in a certain way too. It hits it hits multiple times. Underwater, it's infinite usage. Of course, on ground, it's going to cost 50, which can drain through pretty fast in the very beginning of the game. But when you have DPS like this, it's not bad. Like, I mean, by this point, when you get this, you already have Inferno Breath, maybe even, can't remember which other one you might have.
From memory, they have a decent drop rate as well.
Yeah, but this ability, when I did get it, I was using it a lot to kill a lot of higher HP enemies. I was just kind of, you know, running through and, you know, sometimes tossing this when I was able to really quickly murder enemies. The DPS is really nice. You know, we just stole, like in just a second, we stole pretty much 1,000 HP. You know, stand there long enough and you steal it all. The range is it's not that great due to the arc. It's a very heavy arc, but it is a giant hitbox. I'll give it that. It's a good ability. I'll give it that. Like, it's a good ability because it has more than just the attacking based use, because you also get to use it underwater. So it's good for functionality too. So I just have to give this a good ranking because it's kind of creative how they made it that you would traverse the water with this. I hadn't even thought of it when I got the ability at first. I was just trying to find ways to get around, so yeah. What about you?
Yeah, there's not much to say. It's cool, and it does do a decent amount of damage. I mean, I'd say it's good, and as I said, I'm pretty sure it has a decent drop rate, so getting 9 of them shouldn't be that bad.
Yeah. I don't think much resists water in this game until like the very end also, so that's another nice little thing about it, since it does, you know, ice/water damage.
Yeah.
So, Dimension Shift. This ability is it's literally Reflector Ray, but for, you know, passing through certain types of obstacles. Of course, it's very specific where you can actually use it. Like there's an actual, you know, stage dedicated to it and all, but in battle, I mean, the most you're doing is just using it to maybe avoid some damage. Like if he tries to whip me, if he's, you know, getting in my space and I don't want to, you know, and I'm expecting him to jump, I could use this potentially, but you see, I just got hit even though I was teleporting. You raise the rank to have longer invincibility while warping, so I don't even remember what this was like when I didn't have that, but I wouldn't really use it for combat.
Yeah, it's just sort of to get around certain places. and to get like a couple of treasure chests.
My ranking, just a puzzle mechanic. Same feelings?
Yeah.
Okay. So Inferno Breath you get from the boss of the Twin Towers. Not the Twin Tower, of the tower. Actually, no, it is Twin Towers. But this is basically Aqua Stream, but better, but also fire element. So of course, if an enemy is weak to fire, you'll want to use this. It costs the same amount, and it actually has better range. You know, it doesn't have an arc or anything, so you could really aim this wherever you want. You could, you know, jump up in the air, shoot it all over the place. Of course, it's a little bit slower, but the DPS is actually not so bad, especially for the damage it does. So if you have a fire weak enemy, you could just toss this thing out. You don't even need to use that long to get a really good benefit out of it. Definitely worth leveling up to make it bigger, though. It does start off pretty small from memory. So that's the only thing with it. Overall, like, same thing as this. You know, if the enemy's weak to the element, or if you're just looking to have that sweet DPS and you have a good amount of MP, because it's 50 every second, then this is pretty good. Obviously, if you combine it with Words of Wisdom, once you get that, these abilities become really good for just killing some high HP enemies in the game.
Right.
So, you know, same as this, it's pretty good. You know, it's just, it gets the job done when you need it for getting the job done. All situational.
Yeah.
Hammer Knuckle. So Hammer Knuckle you get from the boss, and this does not have any puzzle. I thought this would have a puzzle-based thing because of how this works. I'm gonna show you. So even though this is out, this is not gonna do any damage until it pushes out, or you know, like until it punches out and then pulls back in, right? So
upon use and withdrawal, it does damage?
Like, it does okay. Actually, the damage... See, here's the problem with it. This is why I'm like... For the cost, it's 50 every time you cast it, right? You get way more DPS. You actually get like 200 damage or so, 200 to 300 damage with this, whereas this does 166 from memory when I was testing this. And this only hits once, and then it, you know, pulls back in, right? Like, that's not gonna really do much. I mean, you know, screen clearing, yeah, you know, you could use it like that, but you're paying 50 every time, you know. It's, you know, and I had to, you know, I ranked it up. It doesn't start that big. It's pretty small and not so useful in the beginning.
Right.
I don't think it's good, in my honest opinion. I don't think it's that good. How about you?
I'd never actually seen it until today.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, like, it doesn't, you know, you weren't missing much by not using it, believe me. So, yeah, don't worry about this one. You don't even have to, you know, spend your time ranking it up. There's a lot of other abilities that can get the job done. Gold Bullet. So Gold Bullet you get towards the end of the game, and it just feels like I feel like I'm missing something here. There has to be something I'm missing. So you charge up the ability, and like when you let loose, it steals some money from your you know, your stuff. But as you see, it does like 300 damage, and then like 500 on the way back. See, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be bouncing this off the walls. I mean, because it does that. But if you charge it up, it's supposed to do more damage. So we saw like 1,000 go away, but I could, without the charging, with the charging involved, I can get 1,000 damage with just like Inferno Breath or Aqua. I could just use that, and in less than in almost a second, I'll be there. I'll have that amount of damage. So I'm not sure, like, I mean, the MP cost is really low. It has that going for it. I mean, I'll take off the gauge glasses and we'll get an accurate damage depiction of what we're dealing with here, but But see, it's like 500 and then crit 800. And it does even, like, you know, it has an actual DPS rate, you know, even though it's bouncing back multiple times, it's only hitting twice. I can't really say anything good about this, and I feel like I'm using it wrong somehow. I feel like there's more to this than meets the eye, but you know, like, it has such a tiny hitbox where, you know, you're only gonna be hitting big guys with this one, and even then, hopefully you're bouncing it off to get that second hit. But there's really no, I don't know how to properly use this, if there is a proper way to use it. So I can't say. Based on...
It's not like using the hat in Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, see, I don't know if it's like that. So, based on what I know right now, I could only say it's not good. It's kind of a waste, especially since you'd want to rank it up so it's not stealing all your money, right? For the damage that it's doing, right? So
yeah,
like the cost that I get for that damage now makes sense, but yeah, I can't say anything good about this, unfortunately. If there's something, if someone could leave a comment and has like discovered some amazing trick, please tell all of us, because I would love to like use this the right way, but right now I can't say anything about this.
Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't seem worth it.
My wire from my controller is like stuck under the microphone. There's gonna be a little bit of noise. Well, already noise, but all right. So, Flame Cannon. This is an ability you get right from the beginning of the game, and it's not bad for what it is. Like, it's a beginner ability. It costs 18, which isn't much at all.
This is the first one you get, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally the first ability you get, and when you rank it all up, it gains a 5-way. And, 167 damage, which is how much the Hammer Knuckle does, by the way, at max level. This is, these are, well, okay. Here's another thing about the Hammer Knuckle. I could probably get the grade up on the Hammer Knuckle, and maybe it would become very overpowered, because if it does the damage that the Flame Cannon is doing at rank 9, grade 9, and this is only grade 1, maybe it'll do like 500 per hit, and I'll be like, okay, maybe, but that's 50 MP every time. Don't forget that. This is 50 per second, so if you count within that time, you're actually using 5.5 every millisecond, or something. No, it's 0.7. You get the point. Regardless, Flame Cannon for the 18 MP that it costs, and like I said, first time playthrough, no new game plus, none of that. This isn't so bad. You get, okay, so that was 149, 219. If you get crit, you get 1,000 damage if you crit everything. And if you're getting 150, you're getting, like around 800 or so, right? It's not bad. You could kill this guy just by spamming that enough times. You have that, you have a high amount of MP by then. You just jump around in Flame Cannon. As long as they're weak to fire, obviously. You get really good effects out of this. But of course you're not going to get as much as you would out of the other abilities, especially with Words of Wisdom, but still a really good ability in general. Like, it's not bad in terms of what it becomes, especially for the cost. The cost makes sense to the damage.
And considering how early you get it, yeah.
So I'll say it's a great beginner ability. That's the most I can say. Great beginner ability. Becomes still usable if you just are trying to save on MP, because maybe you're doing a speed run and you don't have time to level up or get a lot of MP or cook. So what about you? Do you have like a name you want to give it?
Not particularly. I think it is pretty cool, and as I said, especially considering how early you get it. But I don't know.
All right.
It's good.
It's good. All right. So Bone Toss. This one gets pretty big hitbox.
Jesus.
And the damage is, well, see, once you get Flame Cannon all the way up and you get this all the way up, then you start seeing the difference. I used to use this a lot though in the beginning of the game because of the blunt. you know, like you get a lot of damage off blunt weakness, right? But now, I mean, it depends on the enemy too. You could get about like 3 and sometimes a very amazing 4 off of that. So you could get 4 hits or 3 hits, mostly 2, right? On enemies that survive, and if you know, get the arc just right. You could treat it like throwing axes, classic Castlevania style, but it's kind of gone down over time in my opinion. Like towards the end of the game, midway in, you're not going to be using this anymore. This is going to be an afterthought. But it does a little more damage than the Hammer Knuckle, if we, you know, graded all the way up as it is. And it's not hard to get this up to that level. It's really easy, in fact. So, but you know, for next to this, you're paying just a little bit more MP, and you're not getting as much out of it anymore. It, like I said, it seemed good in the beginning, especially on certain enemies that take more damage from that kind of stuff, but like, is it? They take less from it, he takes more, as he saw. You know. It's not, I really, like, all I could just say is it's kind of like, it's okay at first, but it becomes bleh afterwards. It becomes
enough.
too specific then, and by that point you already have other options available.
So I'd say overall this probably just isn't worth it.
Yeah. True Arrow. When you first get this ability, it's pretty okay at first. It's pretty okay. When you max it out, it's still pretty okay. It's basically Flame Cannon with a slash element. So if you find an enemy weak to slash, which Belmont over here isn't, you'll get some pretty good damage. But of course, the only issue with it is, I mean, it's good as a little spread ability, a little shotgun. But it's okay.
Pew.
Since you get it in the beginning, I would say it's actually okay, because it's useful then, and when you rank it up, grade it up, it gets some good damage. I used it to kill, you know, like a boss or two. It's okay. Like, this is a standard ability, I would say. It's better than Bone Toss, as long as they're weak to that. Oh wait, or would it be Piercing? It could be Piercing element. I'm not entirely sure all of a sudden. But whatever element it is...
That would make more sense.
Yeah, it's probably Pierce. But, you know, regardless, you know, if they're weak to Pierce, you know, you got this to use. And the MP cost, compared to Bone Toss, oh yeah. Yeah, this is a really nice upgrade. You get it pretty much after Bone Toss. So it's like a why not ability. If you have it, and you didn't rank up Flame Cannon so much, or if you're just dealing with that type of enemy, you know, everyone resisting flames, True Arrow is one way you can go, but there's actually an ability that's better than it, but you get that later. Release Toad, probably the worst in the set, in my honest opinion. Worse than Bone Toss. Like, yeah, oh, look how much damage it did compared to it, though. Well, yeah, that's one thing, but...
It didn't even go the way you wanted.
Yeah. You can only summon 3, by the way.
What do you mean? There's 4 of them.
Oh, what's 4? Okay, but I don't know why did it... Oh, because the other one went the other way, and I thought he dropped it for some reason. So you can summon 4, but their DPS rate is very, very slow, as you can see.
Yeah.
They do 164. Hammer Knuckle, I mean... How much did I... Okay, so it's half the cost of the Hammer Knuckle. So you can actually use these guys to be your Hammer Knuckle, if you wanted to. But
you do get to throw a toad at someone.
I guess like insult to pride factor. Yeah, but otherwise it's I can't even use this to, you know, I'll be through this room by the time they even catch up. Like, look at that. How am I supposed to really... Yeah, I could, you know, go like this.
No, I just think it's worthless.
It's really not worth it. There's better abilities. There are far better abilities. Unless there's an amazing glitch you could do with this, ignore it. Don't even waste the time on it. Don't waste your resources. Chaser Arrow. Chaser Arrow is incredible. I mean, of course, if there's multiple enemies, you know, obviously it's going to try to go after them, but that's not a bad thing. you're getting multiple enemies at once, and it's, you know, sliding around the other enemies. So you're spreading your DPS, you're dividing and conquering. But that's not even what's so great about this ability. If it's one-on-one, like, this is much better than Chaser Arrow. It's literally nearly the same damage, just literally like 5 to 10 damage less. I kid you not. And
they all home.
It, you know, it homes in. Imagine if I shot the Chaser Arrow, all of those would fly over his head except one. That just all tried to fly in at least. That's something, you know? And it costs the same amount. So once you get Chaser Arrow, and say if you love True Arrow, once you get Chaser Arrow, work on this, stick to it. Don't even go back. There's like, oh, it's faster, but here's the thing. You can only DPS it twice. So say if I do this, I can't cast anymore. Chaser Arrow, on the other hand, once that stuff goes away, it's resummonable. Of course, it has to go away, but at least it doesn't stay there.
It does seem like the better option.
Oh yeah, it's way better. Okay, so yeah, basically, this is the this is like the Metroid beam laser upgrade. This is the Spazer beam. It's stronger, it has better range, etc. It's better. So it's a good ability. It's a good standard ability. Like, same opinion to this thing, except better. So just take what I said about this and just say, now just apply better to it. It's a better standard ability. Alright, what about you? Adam?
Sorry, I was yawning and I wanted to speak, but yeah, I think it's really cool. It's definitely a good ability.
Alright, so directed...
I'd recommend using it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So directed shield, this is just Beast Guardian, except you can direct it wherever you want.
Move it around.
So obviously the trade-off here is, well, yeah, see, here's the weird thing. So the trade-off here is you get to have R1 open now. So if you wanted to have, I don't know, like, what could you actually, I guess you could do this.
You could I was about to say, you could use
shield,
Accelerator.
Like, this is literally here so that you can, you know, you have both of these options, and you could use both of them at the same time if you want to cover both sides. Like, it could be.
I like directed shield. Well, with directed shield, the weird thing is, I don't know how true this is, but when I was fighting certain bosses and enemies, I felt like having directed shield out, at least when it was rank 9, made it so it didn't matter what direction it was facing. I was just invincible.
Okay, so
as long as
here is how this applies to Beast Guardian as well. Just gonna oh wait, actually, now here's perfect shield. Oh, now see, this is why directed shield exists, so you could do this.
So get rid of the Beast Guardian.
Yeah, so without Beast Guardian.
See? Like, I don't think it matters which direction you're facing when you've got a rank up.
Yeah. Now, the only way you can take damage is actually from the front if they're inside your hitbox. But behind? No problem for some reason. I don't know why this is. But if they're in front of you, if they're inside the shield, then you take damage. But otherwise, you're completely invincible from except the shield and like literally inside your body. But you're invincible.
So this is what I used
all around like
to block the full screen attack that Igarashi does.
Yeah. You can use both Beast Guardian and Directed Shield. Of course, the only difference is you can aim this upwards and whatnot, but you still get the same effect. It's literally the same thing as Beast Guardian. You get the same thing with Beast Guardian, or you have that slight behind. Whoops, I wanted to use the whip. Use the whip foo. Did that even affect me? Oh, okay, so there's you know what, that's so weird. So Beast, I guess the difference with Beast Guardian is, say if you put it up in the front, I guess you just have like projectile nullification, but not so much physical nullification then. So yeah, Directed Shield is definitely the stronger choice. This will protect you a lot better than Beast Guardian if you have a moving opponent.
But its offensive capabilities is less, right?
Yeah, the offensive, you lose the ability to do stuff like, say, hey, so just to give a ranking on Directed Shield, really awesome ability, lets you do Accelerator plus Shield at the same time, or Feral Claws plus Directed Shield to have the greatest shield of all time, an attacking shield. But otherwise, I mean, amazing ability, absolutely amazing, and perhaps even a bit. Well, I guess it's not broken since you're draining your MP to. Nah, I guess it's broken.
Yeah.
But it's this is the ultimate like boss shield, and then this one is like the 80% boss shield. Works perfect on the 8-bit thing, of course, obviously, but
yeah,
you know, like what was it to talk about? You know, like so for example, Beast Guardian, Heretical Grinder, you could do that at the same time and prevent damage coming your way.
That's
It's
cool.
another form of a shield. So you see, you could get the same kind of thing both ways. It's really amazing that they thought to do this at all. You give you two types of shields, and you could still have something there at least. I mean, not with all of them. You have less options with Directed Shield, but more defense. And with Beast Guardian, you have more offensive options open, but not the like amazing defense that the Directed Shield comes down to. So it just comes down to what you have, and yeah, like the overall, like, definitely get both of these abilities up. They're going to save your butt. They are going to save your butt so hard and just make a joke out of a lot of bosses, essentially. But
yeah.
Amazing ability. That's all I could say. Like, definitely a top,
Yeah, I love it.
top 5. So, Heretical Grinder, is that what it was called? Yeah, Heretical Grinder. So Heretical Grinder is, it's something you can get really early, and the DPS is good. It does, you know, what is it? Less damage than the fire dragon breath thing, and the flamethrower breath. Forgot the name, but this is slash damage. So if you're trying to do slash consistent damage, this is something you can do. And you know, you use it like how you use any of these abilities. So same opinion. You know, it has good enough range. I mean, it's like a little more in front of you, more controllable. Oops. Than the Aqua stream, because you could just, you know, you could circle this all around yourself. You can do whatever you want. It's a great standard ability, as long as they don't resist slash. If they resist slash, I think the same guy who gives you this ability resists slash pretty well. Well, except for when you get critical, obviously. But good ability. Definitely rank this one up and get, or no, not even just rank it up. Get grade for this thing, because you want to have as much damage as you can. It doesn't do so much at first, but end of the game, it's a good option for slash weak enemies, no joke. But basically, I'm gonna say almost the same thing with some of these abilities, except for a few. There's some differences. This one has good DPS, and that's why I rank it like greater than one of the others I'll mention is not so good as it could have been. What about you? Did you use this?
No, I did not, but because I ended up using something else pretty early on. We'll get to that. But it is quite good. It is actually quite awesome.
Yeah. It does cause some hit stun too, which is also a good thing, by the way. Alright. Lethargy. So this ability is...
Whoa, I have not seen this one.
More for your fun. If like, this is a status effect ability, and here's how status effect things work in my book. If they're weak to it, and you feel like using it, go ahead, because this is probably the most fun status effect ability, but it's also the most useful in terms of, you know, freaking platforming. You could, you know, like, if you gotta slow this guy down, you know, tell him to take a chill pill, and just have him go up to a certain distance like that. Like, say if you wanted him to stay right there, you use slow, like it's the freeze beam in Metroid. Bam. And then you're up there. So, you know, I'm just saying. Lethargy. Now, obviously you're not gonna have it by this point. That would be broken. But Lethargy is really good, because, I mean, hey, look, now, what are they gonna do to me? What are you guys gonna do to me?
They're so just turning around, they're like,
You can even kill enemies slowly. Like, this is, like I said, for your fun. This is completely for your fun. Everything dies slowly. Look at how dramatic he is. What a drama queen. You know, and then E-oo guy, well, it doesn't slow down his ooh, but he does go E, and then ooh. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Certain status effects will get the "it is what it is" from me, but there are 2 versions of some status effect abilities in this game, and we're actually going to be getting to that right now. But what's your ranking for that, like, based on what you saw?
I don't know, it seems kind of cool. I'm not sure how much it works against enemies.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's many enemies that are resistant to it.
That's the issue, of course. You know, like, bosses might not be resistant to it. I mean, might be resistant to it. You might have some enemies that are resistant to it. This is a thing you use when you kill an enemy and you're like, oh shoot, he's weak to slow. Okay, let's use that to make killing him easier, because he's so fast, or he moves around too much, or I hate that one ability he does where he shoots the freaking arrows or something, right? You slow him down, and yeah, there you go. You get to toy with him all you want. So it is what it is kind of ability. You use it when you feel like it. It's not, you know, it's not gonna do damage. It makes killing it easier, but you know, then you could just use another ability. You know, it's something you have as... This is these are support abilities to... If you don't feel like having an offensive ability on R2. If you're like, I only need triangle. I only need conjure abilities or manipulative or whatever. Then, okay, by all means, have a support ability, which... right here we have Petra Ray. So Petra Ray is actually the better of the petrification spells. The 2 petrification spells. The proc rate on this is absolutely bejeebus insane. If it doesn't proc immediately, just recast it, because every time it touches the enemy, it it rolls the dice again, essentially. You could do that too, but you save more MP doing this. You actually can make the cost nothing.
As long as they're close, right? Because your range gets bigger the longer it stays out.
If you really are trying to stay away, you could do that. But this is actually by the way, this is an amazing grinding tool. If there's some enemies in this game who give you a lot of XP, and they actually die from this, right? And if you use this...
So you do get a kill from this?
Yes, you get an actual kill with all the stuff. You even get shards from it. So... You know, like, say if there's an enemy that is absolutely weak to it, by all means, use this, because, you know, when you first start off, sometimes it's hard to kill certain enemies, and this saves you a lot of time. When they have so much HP and you could just do this to them, okay, there you go, you know? You just walk in, you know, and then, okay, walk out. You know, because, what was it? In my experience, I didn't have like any weapon that would kill some certain enemies in like a lot, you know, like in 3 or 4 hits. And you know, the spells I didn't have much MP, but because I was able to just go and not waste any MP doing it, it was a really amazing grinding ability. This ability is so good, of course, on the enemies that it works on, but this is a good grinding tool, and that's my ranking. It's a great grinding tool.
Yeah,
especially
I
in the
have
beginning.
to agree with that.
Of
course, later, yes, you just kill things easier.
Exactly. So Void Ray, you get towards the end of the game, so it's kind of hard to rank this one against others because it has an unfair advantage of being balanced to be stronger. And
because you get it so late.
Well, yeah, that, and also its counterpart, Rozain. I wish I could show this to you guys right away, but I want to go in order here, right? But Rozain is everything. I mean, this is what Rozain should have been. So here's the DPS it does. It goes ba 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 ba, right? And if the enemy is weak to darkness or not resistant to darkness, I'm not joking, this ability is very powerful. Just to give you an idea, 400. So I'm doing double the damage because he resists it. So, and then with the DPS it has, it has a big ass hitbox regardless to begin with.
You can move it around as much as you want.
Exactly.
As you can see.
Like, same thing I've been saying about all these directional laser and DPS-y abilities. This one's DPS is obviously lower, so you're not you're getting more off of even using Aqua Stream, believe it or not. But if the boss is weak to darkness or better yet, if you're just traversing, this is an amazing ability to use because remember, all these cost 50 for the most part, and you can just toss it out. You don't even need to use it for even a second. Just flicker it. You get damage just on the tiniest little smidge of a laser. I will show that. Watch this. I just tapped it. I barely summoned that laser. So this is a nice little laser of death. But of course you get it at the end of the game. It's meant to be used as that, I would believe. But, same opinion, but the only difference here is it has a higher damage. So much higher that if I use the weakness of this guy, like I said, the Rozain, I actually get more damage off using this on a dark resistant enemy than Rozain, which he is weak to, because just to put it out there, Rozain has the slowest DPS of all of these, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Void Ray, it's pretty good, but it's an end game ability, so it's kind of cheating. Like, I don't want to give this a true, I don't want to give this the greatest ranking because you get it so late that you're ready just, finishing up. This is just to clear out the trash. This is to clear out the trash. That is my ranking.
Or grind.
Yes.
If you want to get the rest of the shards.
Pretty much. So moving on, Petra Breath. This is the worst version of petrification.
What?
Look at that. I'm trying to proc it. I'm trying to make them get petrified. I still struggle with this. Oh, finally. Wow,
yeah.
That took a lot. How much does it cost? 40. How much does Petra Ray cost? 50. But I barely need to cast that. But can I do that with this? I mean, I can, but it travels on the ground mostly. It's gonna fall back down. This is possibly the worst R2. This is the worst directional ability of them all, in my opinion. Because it counts like Like, look at this. Like, come on, just there we go. Thank you. Can you proc, please? Come on. Really?
Certainly
No?
seems pretty useless. Don't even bother.
It's too. You're actually spending that MP when you can just not spend the MP. Watch. I'm gonna take off Words of Wisdom. I'm gonna prove it right now. Look, I'm not using it. I'm not using MP to do this. I mean, of course, I have a high MP regeneration rate, but I'm still, even if I held it out just a little bit, I'm still not using as much MP as opposed to this. Like, I have no choice but to make a comparison like this because it's doing the same thing, but the result is far, far worse. I'm not getting my results. This is the worst. This is the bottom tier of the abilities out of directional abilities because it just doesn't do its job right. Like, rather than nerfing the abilities, Igarashi, please open your eyes and see what needs to be buffed, not nerfed. It's your choice if you want to make the game easier. It's your choice if you want to make the game harder. If I want to make the game frustrating for myself, or hard, or challenging, I will use this ability. I will. Instead of using Petra Ray, I will try to grind with Petra Breath. Oh yeah.
Not gonna go so well.
These are my difficulty adjustments, Iga. I'm just saying, you know, you've always done it like that. I mean, of course, you couldn't patch the games before, but I'm just saying. I know secretly, you know, in your mind, the equipment was your difficulty adjustment. It was. It was your form of difficulty adjustment. Bottom tier, as Ray mentioned, though. Acid Jet. Now, this is also, like... I mean, it's better than Petra Ray, but... Look at the MP cost, okay? Just take a look at that MP cost.
That's pretty expensive.
Look how fast my MP goes down when I'm doing this, and I'm only getting 20s and 40s. Now, you might think, but look at how high the DPS is. That's crazy. Well, I have my intelligence, like, I mean, maybe not even as high as it can go, but you know, let's just do that then. Let's put my intelligence as high as it can go. Okay, so I'm getting close to 50 on crit, but let me show you what this really looks like. Where's my gauge glasses? So previously I showed you we would jump down in thousands within only like a second of casting the magic. But here, how much did I need to... How long did I need to stand there just to get him... I didn't even get him down to 1,000 and he's already jumping. You know, like, how is this good for the MP cost? It's not. Yeah, I mean...
That's unfortunate.
As a short cast like that, it gets the poison done. No, like the poison proc, it's good for that. It does the job. Now, if you have Words of Wisdom, you know, that changes a few things, but it's still not making this DPS-wise any better. Not to mention, what is it? Let's say I do standstill at the same... Now, this ability is fun to mess around with, because it tosses just so much poison out all at once. You can do that. You know, that's cool. But, you know, you're not really... You're still not doing yourself any favors with this one, believe me. You could do better with Venom Mist. I'm glad these two are right next to each other. 30 MP cost, by the way. It's the equivalent of Petra Breath, except it does the job right. Look at that. Look at that. It clings to the wall a little. Oh yeah, that's right, I did it. So this is above Petra Breath, because it actually does its job at least. But for the cost, it's too ridiculous. Don't waste your time, because guess what? Guess what? Oh, well, okay, that obviously instant. Let me take off the gauge glasses. Obviously, that's gonna instant kill, but look at that damage, 300. Are you kidding me? You know, you just, and the way it floats around is perfect. Look at that. It's a wall. It's a wall, and then it keeps floating. That's good, and it gets poison. It gets the enemy poisoned, so it's doing its job. And 30 MP. What? Now, of course, the DPS isn't that great. You wouldn't use this to fight a guy. But for, you know, getting poison, killing normal enemies, this is what Petra Breath really should be. Please, Iga, take notes from this, like, damage. You know, like, I mean, I'm sure, okay, you can't do damage with Petra Breath, but make it proc. Venom Mist is getting what it needs to do. Now, maybe this was an endgame ability. I can't remember. I don't remember where I got this from.
Yeah, I don't know when you get this.
But this is getting the job done. Void Ray you get really early. You get it before Petra Breath, by the way. But Venom Mist is doing exactly what it needs to do, and it does it so darn well that it does great damage on normal enemies. Of course, I have endgame stuff. You know, I'm all powerful. You know, it does weaker damage at first. Yeah, obviously. But I'm just saying that multiplier, the math going into this, it shows. I'm just saying that this is better off, you know. Like I'm not saying it's better than all the abilities I literally just covered above it. It's not better than any of the abilities above it, but I'm saying it's doing its job 10 times better than what it should be doing with the two abilities right above it, literally. You know, but everything else, no, of course that's not better than that.
You okay?
I
sound a bit
I don't know, like Circular Ripper, man. Yeah, so Circular Ripper.
Whee! Play with a yo-yo.
It's kind of I have a love-hate relationship with this one. You do get it earlier than the ability you get from this guy, Ruinous Rood. But this is basically your beginner's Ruinous Rood. It works the same way, but it's less it's smaller for one. And you can't.
It works
you can't use
similar.
It
it's not quite the same.
Like you can't hold it out in the air. I mean to say, you can do that sort of, right? But you know, it's like still a little. It's still iffy in my opinion. Damage-wise, it's good.
At least you can.
Damage is amazing, but
the difference between this and Ruinous Rood is you can move that while it's out.
Yeah.
Ruinous Rood, it stays the direction it first came out as.
Ruinous Rood,
you know what I mean?
Kind of does its job better, I would say. Like, it does the same
it
damage,
does.
but this, like, I don't know, it feels inconsistent hitbox-wise. If you let go for a second, it pulls back in. Oh, now it's not even holding out. Wait, oh, why is it not holding out? That's so... Do I have to... Okay, I guess I gotta move it, too. You gotta kind of move this to keep it out longer, but when you're in the air, you can only shoot it out, and you're not gonna get much damage as much as you could.
It takes a little while till you get that as well.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it costs 60, you know, but for 10 more MP, it's doing its job better than Hammer Knuckle, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hammer Knuckle. I know you wish you had the grade to be more powerful. You're probably 10 times better than this, but, you know, no New Game Plus, so just saying. Circular Ripper, eh. The next abilities we're about to talk about are all better, by the way.
Oh, especially my favorite ability.
But yeah, so oh yeah, that was actually my rank, by the way. It's eh to me. Like, yeah, good damage, but inconsistent. All right, yes, your favorite ability. This ability is getting nerfed, by the way. So if that says anything, I almost don't need to say anything about it at this point. But good damage. It's doing like half of what Circular Ripper does, but it's consistent as long as I aim. Oh yeah, by the way, you could just
so the thing
cast
is,
it and leave it there.
You can get this relatively early on.
Oh, really early? Yeah, right after the train from the ninjas.
Yeah.
Or the assassins, I should say.
And
by the way,
the amount of stun.
60, 40. Just saying. Yeah,
the amount of stun that it does on enemies is massive. Like, they stand still pretty much if you just keep using it. And if you're aiming it properly, every single one of them will hit. And each one will do tons of damage. And some will get criticals. It's amazing.
Yep. Here's your preview to Lethargy, guys. You know, you use Lethargy. You know, here's your preview. You know, except with damage on it. It's great. This is a great ability. This is a very good ability.
I would fight bosses that couldn't do anything to me because the amount of time it would take them to do a move, they'd be getting stunned by all of these hits.
Yep. This is your upgrade to Chaser Arrow and True Arrow, okay? This is your upgrade. It's only 10 MP cost. This is only 10 more in MP cost. And it's doing the job maybe too well. Maybe too well. I understand
why it's getting nerfed.
Riga wants to nerf it. It makes things too easy. But if you know it does that, if you already know it makes things too easy, then don't use it. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't use this ability because I was like, this seems really powerful. I'm gonna mess around with the other abilities. And I did that through the whole playthrough. Because I was like, I don't think I'll kill my first playthrough off with Flying Dagger. I'll do that on New Game Plus. But now see, here's the funny thing. Now, as I said, Flying Dagger, great upgrade, great move. Too good of a beginner move, if you ask me. This should have been like more closer to the middle of the game even. But the next ability is actually more broken, believe it or not. It costs the same MP. Of course, it has a little less range, but here's, you see, I underestimated this ability. I mean, okay, so 600, 700 damage. Yeah, sure, whatever. I get 100. I get 1,000 with Flying Dagger, or 2,000 if I get criticals, right? But here's the thing. Flying Dagger may stun the enemy, but not only does this stop the enemy for about half a second, or maybe even 0.75 out of a second, right? But this staggers the enemy when you use it twice, as you see with Belmont there. They get staggered, and once you have them in that, you could just recast this over and over, and it's over. Now, I need to actually test this more. This is testing it on Belmont. He's been our test dummy since, and maybe I'll put a thing in the description about it, like, later. Or no, you know what? Leave a comment about if this ability also does it staggering on certain other enemies and whatnot. Like, experiment with it, tell me how broken it is, and then I'll just put in the description next to it, like, yeah, this is absolutely broken. It makes the enemy useless. But
this is not one I ever really discovered while playing the game.
Yeah, I ignored it. Like, I used it, and I was like, oh, it does good damage. I like the MP cost. The damage was burst damage. It was like using Riga from Final Fantasy, no joke. This is literally Riga, but with a catch. It staggers the enemy, and I didn't know there was I know there was staggering, but I didn't know, like, until now, like, just how crazy stagger is in this game and how overpowered that is, because you basically turn that enemy into nothing. But Bolide Blast, broken for now, but overall, even for the hit stun, this is amazing. Just spam the heck out of it. The MP cost is so small. Imagine if you had 500 MP. You know, you spam that and you kill this guy. So simple. Of course, you need to get the rank up. You need to get the grade up. I think it was pretty strenuous on the resources, but worth it. It's worth it. That's my rank. It's worth it. It's good. What about you?
Oh no, it seems really cool, but again, it's not something I had too much experience with. So I can't say.
So tornado.
But I think it'd be good depending on how easy it is to get.
Now here's an interesting thing. I was using this ability a lot when I got it. You get this more towards the end of the game. Tornado Slicer. This is it costs 10 less per second, so 40 per second compared to the other literally similar abilities. This doesn't I don't know if this has an element to it. That's another weird thing, because there's no wind element in this game, so I don't know what element it's actually using. That's another thing. But here's the dealio. It does good damage. The DPS is pretty fine. It's like Void Ray. The range is pretty cool too. The only issue with it is, like, you get projectiles out of it, but that's not a bad thing. It still gets the job done. What's also cool about this is it can actually, unlike Void Ray or Rozain, this can sometimes curve over certain platforms if you angle it just right, like that. You see? Normally it would be stopping at the wall, but because of the curve, it doesn't do that. So this ability is actually very incredible, and when you do get it, there's a lot of uses for it. This is a very good sneak attack on enemies that are further off or like up, like up on a platform. You just use that, you just go boop, and yeah, you can take care of them from afar. This is a great ability overall. I wish I knew the element. You could leave a comment down below if you know what element it is. But overall, a really, really good ability in my opinion. Like, this is definitely more up there when it comes to the those type of DPS Ray type abilities. What do you think? Did you use this when you got it?
No, I did not.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Flying Dagger.
Oh yeah. You see, that's what I'm saying though. Like, yeah, like you get less DPS than Flying Dagger with this, but at least this one you don't have to aim it too hard, and you could sneak attack some enemies because of the curves.
You do have to be quite precise with Flying Dagger.
Yeah. Okay, so Flamethrower. Oh yeah, did I do my rank? I guess, what is it? My ranking was just great. It's a great ability. Really good when you get it, and it stays good. Obviously, of course, there's boss fighting abilities, and there's enemy abilities, the things you just use on the trash, and that's a great trash clearing ability. Now Flamethrower, This ability is the equivalent of the Summon Hellhound. You know, that one that does like 1,000 or 2,000 damage, right? Well, this is kind of the same deal, except you gotta charge it, but you don't even have to actually charge it that much to... So, okay, you can't really tell how much damage I did there, but let me give you an idea. Let's just do a quick little attack on him. I took away 3,000 of his HP. 3,000! I think that's even more than what Summon Hellhound does. That's actually a record high for me. Maybe I could get higher if I aim it down. How much did we go?
My
down?
God.
3,000. Look at that. This ability is one of the most powerful, besides the last ability on this list. This is second or even first to that if you're lucky. But see, that's the problem. This one can be hard to use, whereas the other ability that I'm thinking of is not hard to use at all. But you get 3,000 with this. You could kill this guy in 2 hits sometimes, and I've done that. 500. He has 500 health. Did I see that? Yeah, look at that. Like, I only had to take 3 turns when you think about it. Like, you know, aside from jumping around, I only had to do 3 moves. That. Okay, let's do that again. Oops, kind of missed there. But that's, like I said, this is the only issue with the ability is aiming it. But there we go, now he's dead. I only had to cast it 3 times.
That's pretty insane.
Yep. Alright, we took off like 2,500 there. Oops, I aimed it a little too much downwards there. Wow! I just took off 4,000 HP, or 3,500 something. So if that tells you just how broken this ability is, Flamethrower, I think this one's getting nerfed too, unfortunately. But this is understandable. I can kill certain bosses in 2 hits? Compared to Flying Dagger, this makes Flying Daggers look like a baby. You know, it does take a little more skill than Flying Daggers, but get a load of this. Flamethrower is in town and he is telling everybody to get out. You better watch out for Flamethrower, because he's gonna burn you. This is most powerful ability in the game, except 8-bit Fireball might be stronger. It's so hard to figure out which one's stronger, because this one costs 50, this one costs 32, and that's what set these apart for me. They're just, oh, it's so close. It's such a close game. You know, if anything, I'd say this is number 1 and this is number 1 in damage, and call it a day. Okay, so Chisel Barrage. This is another getting nerfed. Yeah. This is why. It's Flying Daggers times 2.
Times a billion.
It didn't even get to me. And how much did I use? Okay, so see, here's the thing about this. Cost as much as the lasers, but this is really, really high DPS. In fact, this is nearly as high DPS as the Acid Jet, just to give you a speed comparison. Okay, not even close. This is about half the speed of that, but this is double the speed of almost everything else. Maybe even 1.5 the speed, but still, you get what I'm saying. Like, this is Acid Jet as it should have been. Well, okay, no, that would be too powerful. Status effects and all. But still.
You do get this quite a bit later, though.
Yeah, you get this
really late. Because you do have to defeat a boss.
Now, the only issue, the only thing
boss
holding this back is, while you can, like, oh, okay, you can toss this all over the place, it has a small hitbox. That's the only thing holding it back. Otherwise, if it was tossing out giant chisels, it would be too broken. Kid you not. But because this...
Yeah, the chisels never change size, right?
Yeah, the chisels never change size. Just the attack rate. Just the rapid fire. It shoots faster, that's all it does. But yeah, overall, amazing ability, but it's only held back by the fact that you do gotta be accurate with it. It's Flying Daggers too. That's literally all it is. It's Flying Daggers, but you have control. And you better have good control. Because you're paying 50, you know, you're paying 50 for this stuff, you know? you're not going to use this on crowd clearing though, kid. You know, like you can, excuse me, but this is better for bosses. Of course, the best way to use this. Oops. like, you know, you could try.
Zawarudo.
Try Zawarudo. It's tough though. Alright, so yeah, it's getting nerfed. That's my rank for it. It's getting nerfed, and you can see why.
It's great.
Great. Ruinous Rood. This is Circular Ripper ×2, except without the control. Except not like the control was that good on it anyway to begin with. But you get more hits consistently, by the way. You get more consistent hits. Look at that. It's such a gigantic hitbox. I swear it wasn't even touching him there. It was barely touching him.
I used this actually quite a bit.
Oh, so much like, you know, it gets, I think, the same damage, believe it or not, but...
Especially against some of the big enemies.
But here's one way you could use it. Oh, well, that was accidental, but yeah, this is the one way you can use it, especially just... I swear that did not touch him. That did not touch him, but that just tells you how good this is. So you just run along with it. It goes at a decent speed, so you could kind of chase it. Unlike Gale Crawler, if you remember from my my Conjure Shard video. You know, this is what Gale Crawler. This is Gale Crawler and Circular Ripper combined into something beautiful. It's a good ability, and of course, one of the really powerful ways to use this. I mean, of course, this applies to anything, but this, yeah, this is.
My
powerful.
God, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I like it.
And the damage you get from it, the use you have with it, makes sense to the MP cost. I call this an accurately good ability. Like, it's just, it's right. It's done right. It's the cross from Castlevania Classic, but really big and overpowered. Okay, so Riga Dohin. Riga Dohin is an ability you get pretty early on, and
boom!
It hits the enemy and it just starts exploding in place. Now, obviously, it's not going to be like this when you first get it, but this is a good beginner ability. Only costs 40, so not bad at all. Not bad at all. The other thing that cost 40, this is later. You kind of get the same effect of that, except you have control over it. Doesn't stay in one place. Bolide Blast is basically just the overpowered version of this that you could spam. Of course, Riga Dohin stays there in difference, but it's only doing 200 damage each time, which is not bad. That's actually a really good thing. But, if you set it up just right, you could get a good amount of damage. Like, look at that. That's not bad. Like I said, imagine if you went into this battle not having any of these other crazy abilities, right? Chisel Barrage, or imagine that. All you have is Riga Dohin to rely on. Because that's what it was for me. I mean, not here, but for some other bosses, I only had Riga Dohin. And I got the grade up, I got the rank slightly up, and I was able to get, like, 3 or 4 hits in off of the explosions. First hit and then 3 hits after, and then cast multiple. Cast at least 2, I think, maybe 3, and it did the job. This is a good standard ability. This is not as crazy as I forgot the name already. Well, it's not as crazy as Riga Strema, but it's kind of like that. It's its own kind of thing to that. It's good for Fire Weak enemies, obviously. It does. It's a good beginner ability. That's all I can say.
It looks cool.
So, this. Oh, it sucks. No, it doesn't. This is what it's for. Let me show you how to use this properly.
Turns you into a Sith Lord.
This is how you use this ability. Now, what's really cool about this is it works so well on monsters. Like, this will hit twice, sometimes even 3 times if you're lucky on big guys, right? But what's really nice about this ability is just the cost. I mean, yeah, okay, it's costing as much as the other stuff, but it kind of gets the job done. I don't know how to put it. You don't need to aim this. You just throw it out there, and it kills everything in sight. When you level this drill, all the way up, this is a murder machine. This is faster than even using the rays. I mean, yeah, you can make a circle with the rays, but this, at the max level, clears out everything. Even on the beginner level, I remember I was using this to get some enemies behind walls and all that kind of stuff. This stops at nothing. That's what makes this really good still. Even if you're not DPSing your enemies and all that kind of stuff, you're able to hit them no matter where they are. As it says, finds them no matter where they are. This is a freaking good ability, especially when you're trying to find a save, and as long as they're not resisting lightning, obviously. But this ability has saved me so many times because I was like, I am not going near that guy. I will sit here, recharge my MP, and Teps Ocues his butt until he is dead. Really amazing ability. And, you know, like I said, the only thing why I put it up higher is because the laser abilities get stopped by the walls. Walls are their greatest enemy, and here you have Teps Ocues saying, "Hell no to that. I'm a find them no matter where they are. They all are gonna die." It's beautiful. I love it. Okay, so Rozain. As you see, cost 40. You do get this slightly earlier. I was using it for a while. Beginner ability-wise, not bad, but unlike Riga Dohin, where you could actually kind of strategically use it to still be beneficial to you, there's no redeeming qualities after you get Void Ray and this and that and this and Tornado Slice. There's no redeeming thing on this other than like, oh well, it kills these wholly weak enemies in one hit. That's literally what it gets downgraded to. It's like, okay, well, there's this room, and I'm just gonna make a disco show in here, and I'm gonna make a rave and call it a day. That's literally all this becomes. Look at how slow this is. What even? Now he's weak to holy. You know, yeah, that is a fact. Like, you know, but I'm still, as I said way earlier. I'm trying to like, there we go. As I said way earlier. Okay, 1200. That was after holding out 40 second drain for that long. Void Ray doing half that damage. Kind of gets there, I don't know, faster in some cases. You might, not to mention, you see, remember what I said about tapping things out? You don't need to fully cast this. You can kind of do that, not waste too much MP, and get to that damage far faster than you would with Rozain, where even if you tapped it out, do you see the problem? Now, it's not bad. Like I said, wholly weak enemies bow down to this. This is better than using Void Ray in some cases, because there's a good amount of weak enemies weak to holy in here. This is a good beginner ability, but it does lose out to Tornado Slicer even. I would prefer to use Tornado Slicer over this any day, because the DPS is just that good. I'm going to prove that right now. You know, okay, it took us like to do 1200 damage. I got there faster with that, didn't I? 1, 2, whoops, no. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I passed that by 3 seconds. Okay, let's go to Rozain. 1, 2, 3. Okay, like, so it's literally a second per hit, right? And unless you're getting criticals, I would actually, to make this better, there's one way to improve this. And I suggest actually getting Assassin's Rings, or even, you know, Lethality Ring combined with that. But get 2 Assassin's Ring, and then it's kind of redeemable. Like I said, the DPS, not so good. But if you could get 700 as your DPS, then you're talking a little better, right? But I could technically take Tornado Slicer and also get those crits and get there faster, right? And also, it costs less MP. Why would I pay, you know, like, especially, say if I was using this in general, right? Say the enemies aren't weak to holy. Tornado Slicer would automatically be better in this case because it's just taking my my intelligence and whatever other math it does, and there you go. Automatically this wins out because it costs the same amount. You know, so point in case made. Rozain's good, There's ways to make it better by using it at the right time, but I wish the DPS were higher. This is why I keep saying, Iga, I know you want to nerf stuff, but please buff the other things if you're going to do that too. Let's balance this out a little. Let's even the lands here, you know? You have these on a mountain, but these guys aren't even living on the ground. They're living underground. They haven't even seen the world yet. You know? I really, really loved Tis Rozain. I know this is lasting a long time. I should move on to Fald Ciu, but I really, really, really loved Tis Rozain. It was the final flash of Castlevanias, and it had to just drop the ball on being slow on DPS, you know? So, moving on. Oops. So Fald Ciu is Riga Dohin, except without the explosion just happening, because this one, you have to shoot on the ground. Otherwise you just get, you know, good burst damage. Okay, I mean, oh yeah, let me remind you, he's resistant to dark. And I did 200 or so with Void Ray, and I'm getting 375 with something that's Dark Element. And it costs 44 MP. What? See, I got 200 there. This does as much damage as when it hits, sort of. Or is that 300 right there? Crit's getting in the way. 357. And I'm... This is dark. This is dark. This is dark energy. Why am I getting the same damage? How can that be? Actually, even a little more. How can that be? I don't... Iga, before you nerf your stuff, take a look at what the damage on this is doing. He's supposed to be resisting dark. How much does this really do then? You know, like, this was what I was asking myself, and I'm just 522. Okay, let's do it with Riga Dohin. Whoops, yes. Whoops, that was a critical. So that means that almost doubled my attack power, meaning it does 300. And this did 500. Now, you do get this at the end of the game. So, once again, like the Void Ray, I have to give this the benefit of the doubt. Oh, it's an endgame skill. They have to make it powerful, or then why are they even giving this to you? But this is so flippin' powerful. Like, if you weren't getting, say if you had no DPS, you didn't have any of the DPS lasers, right? You had no machine guns, nothing. You had burst damage only. You didn't get Bolide Blast. This would literally be your next best bet for damage, because the cost is just as good as Riga Dohin. And say you toss this on the ground and get him to move in that place. Watch what the DPS is. Now, of course, it's smaller, but the DPS is freaking off the wall. Look at that. Come on, just walk. Okay, so it's about the same as Riga Dohin, but like, this is not bad. For something that's dark resistant and doing that much damage, it's doing almost 200 like Riga Dohin. You know? Now, of course, like I said, smaller, but Jesus, like, what's going on with the damage here, yo? Like, this is some endgame damage, you know? This feels like a reward. So when you're using this on other enemies, resisting dark or not, this is pretty powerful stuff. But once again, you know, there's all these other abilities that are just destroying its butt. Flying Dagger, Bolide Blast, the Chisel Barrage. You know, so I can't really say it's that high, but I just have to give credit for it being so darn powerful. It's like, oh, it's like they already knew these were powerful. Why are they nerfing it? It's like they made this purposely powerful, and they're like, oh, hey, you know, it's kind of weird to give them dark element. Have these hidden bosses who are strong against dark. We gotta make this really strong then, guys. You know, I feel like that's what was going to, you know, that was what they put on the table at the time. I don't know. But it's interesting nonetheless. It's not a bad ability. It's definitely not. It has two functions. You know, it's burst damage.
Yeah.
And it's got the ground Riga Dohin type of damage. It doesn't last as long. but it's so potent in damage. It only costs 4 more. You're not losing much here. There's nothing to lose with this. You're still getting rewarded. You know, and if the enemy's weak to dark, ooh, this is probably like 800, 700, 1,000, and who knows what that does on crit. Yeah. So moving on, Fald Taiab. This one is laser, but you know, this is Heretical Grinder. This is literally Heretical Grinder, but just Dark Element.
Let's see.
200 damage. And what do we get with Heretical Grinder? Oh, whoops, that's on crit. Okay, so it's stronger than Heretical Grinder. And this is, let's not forget, it's dark. It's Dark Element, yo. So imagine on a non-dark resistant, enemy, how much is this? 287? And then on comparison to a similar ability, that was a crit. that 182. So if that tells you how strong this ability is, and to be doing more damage than it on a guy who's resisting darkness, I mean, like I said, it's more potent, it's stronger, but of course, it doesn't have the range. You can jump around with it and swing it all over the place, so it's still good though. You just gotta get a little closer. But like my opinion on any DPSy laser ability besides a few, it's just like, it comes down to, what are you trying to do with it? Are you trying to murder a boss with it? Are you just swinging around yourself? It's, it's there for trash clearing. Maybe you could use it for 1v1. It's situational. It's just there because, hey, I can take advantage of this element and get like 300 a hit for, and like, how much does that add up to in like 5 seconds based on the DPS? When you do the math, you're like, okay, this is how much I'm doing. So, all of these abilities except for Acid Jet, we gotta have a talk with you later in your MP costs. You should cost like 20 for what you're doing. 30 at least. Jeez. But yeah, that's Fald Taiab. I don't know what else to say about it other than what I've said about every ability. It's just more potent, even for a freaking dark ability. Amazing. Did you use it?
No, I
didn't. You didn't. 8-bit Fireball. Agreed as one of the most powerful abilities in the game. So it shoots how many fireballs? We saw 461 damage as a base. 435, I mean. Yeah, 436. So
jeez,
let's just say 400. It's doing 2,000 a hit if you just get this right in his face. Put criticals on there. So 600, how much? 650, okay. So let's just go with, 600 instead. We'll add the 50s later, so 250, right? That's 600 to 3,000. And then throw 250, oh my gosh. 3,250 damage. So this is why I say it's tied with Flamethrower. Flamethrower, how much do you get on that? Oh, well, we can't tell like this, but enough to basically murder a guy really fast. We took off the other 3,000 right there. So it comes down to what do you want? Do you like Mega Man? Do you want to charge up your shot and go kaboom and you gotta aim it though? Or do you just want to get right up in their face, boss wise, go like that? Okay, yeah, you take a hit, but backstep. You can only shoot 2, by the way. Of course, the flamethrower, you of course would charge that, reposition yourself, but this is also good for crowd clearing. See, this is the one reason I say this ability still beats out the flamethrower. Oh, it's not. Okay, there we go. It beats out the flamethrower just because you can still kind of run through a room. It sticks with you, by the way, like a freaking shield. And it's pretty much as powerful as the flamethrower. Where one, you could use it on a big boss and get all those nasty hits, right? You could still kind of get the same dealio with this, but for 18 less. 18 less MP.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to player choice, but they're both just as good as each other, except This one has 2 factors, MP, and it's completely usable in any situation because the damage is just even crazier than Fald Ciu, even for a fire ability. So, you've heard it all, you've seen it all. We experimented some things because even if it extends the length of this video, I'll be giving you those timestamps, and you know, and I gotta show you guys, like, hey, I'm just saying, look at what this can do on its own. Okay, we're looking at this on its own. Sometimes, yeah, there's cases where we have no choice but to use the other shards, aka directed shield. You know, like, yeah, it damages the enemy a little bit. You know, Beast Guardian doesn't do that. But, you know, combining the 2 together to make the ultimate shield or Pharaoh Claws, whatever, you know, I don't have a choice with that, obviously, right? Someone told me, oh yeah, you know, you could take Boo or combine that with, excuse me, combine that with Cerulean Splash, and it's a really good combination. In fact, let's just test that out right now, just to, excuse me, wow, make a commenter happy. So that bumps him all over the place. Yeah, I could definitely see that. If there's a lot of enemies in the room, he gets bumped everywhere, gets bumped into him. I mean, of course, my Booer is not that strong. He's level 25. Poor guy. But you know, I get where you're coming from with that, you know. But yeah, we covered it. We talked about stuff. You know, obviously, when you're really playing, you might be combining, say, Riga Dohin with Riga Storema, right? You'll be combining those 2 together, getting all that fire damage, and you know, reaping hell on your enemies, right? But you know, we're looking at it mostly as it is. You might throw in a thing or 2 about it, but for the most part, you know, these abilities on their own, if they really stand out, just able to do the job that you would do with like multiple abilities, if you can do that with just 1, that's saying a lot. And this is doing, you know, Riga Storema, but it's not stuck to the ground. It's fire. It's getting these guys on the ground, you know. It's, what's the cost compared to Riga Storema? What? It's only 2 more MP, and it's you know, a little more potent, right? 200, 200, 430. Need I say any more? Class is adjourned. Video's done. You've seen it, you've heard it, you watched it, you got it, proved it. You dinged it, you donged it, you boobed it, you slashed it, you whatever did, you judged it, you did everything it. There's nothing more to say here, folks, other than we're gonna cover familiars the next time, and that next time might be a while from now. And these, well, there's not so much to cover here. We're gonna be ignoring status stuff. We'll talk about how these kind of speed you up a little. You know, they give you faster attack. We could talk about that on, you know, freaking Optimizer, though. We don't need to do it with those. We don't need to talk about what this does. It says it, you know. Alchemic Bounty, I mean, I could demonstrate it. But, you know, like, these all become a part, like, there's, the only thing we'll be talking about is things you'll actually equip to double the effect. That's the most we'll be doing. You know, you can double the effects after you master it. When you master these, it becomes, you know, whatever, but, you know, it becomes a permanent ability. So it just comes down to doubling that effect, doubling the regenerate, you know, drain, etc. We'll talk about those specific things, but there's no need to talk about doubling on stats. They're just numbers, or even RNG. Occasionally nullify strike damage. You know, it's just all numbers and RNG, whereas this stuff is actual, you know, little data. You got faster attacks. Hey, that means you could take, you know, freaking giant, you know, like the great sword and swing it faster. Whoa, all of a sudden these weapons are good. You know, like now you don't need to use the faster weapons. You could get the same thing out of a slower one. You know, it's that kind of stuff, right? So we'll be looking at that. last. But we'll be looking at familiars first because there's only 6 of them. Oh,
Yeah.
how long was this? But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, yeah, that's like a little bit longer than the other thing because I had to explain some stuff. But regardless, stay in tune. Please be patient on that next video, and be good. Be good to yourselves. Treat yourselves. drink some wine or something.
Treat yourselves
if
with
you're able
Flying
to.
Dagger.
Drink safely though. You know, just you probably got all stressed out. Whatever's going on. You know, just treat yourself. You've made it through, especially if you were not using the timestamps. I feel bad for you if you weren't. This is meant to be used with timestamps, people. You don't need to waste all that time unless you like listening to a voice and you're trying to sleep. I can do that for you. I would be happy to do that for you. It's something I'm amazing at. All right. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.